It's the private practice playbook. It's the private practice playbook.
All right, so welcome. So today you guys are in for a real treat. One of the things that we try to do is obviously bring you information that's going to be helpful in terms of you being able to actually grow your practice, right? And as part of that, there's certainly techniques that can be used, and then there's the psychology. And so today I have two really ambitious. I call you guys young. You're probably getting older, and but young doctors and who have been with us, I guess, since 2021 now, which is kind of crazy, right? It seems like I remember the very first meeting with you guys not long ago. And so we're going to just sort of go through their story a little bit. I think it's a really interesting story about two friends and being partners and kind of that journey. And what I really like too, is that they're both, they have multiple roles. So they're the doctors, they own practices, but they're also spouses and mothers. And I think, as I think about all my interactions with them over the years, I mean, I remember I was thinking one day, like when I'm coaching a room of people and when a woman comes in and she's carrying the baby in her stomach and she's crushing it, I always just kind of like tell the guys like, hey, she's killing it and a baby is coming out of her, so like it's always been fun. I've got to see you guys now both, in that process. So thanks for taking time. So we'll sort of go through and maybe if you guys would give a little, right? So Dr. Marvelli, Stephanie, I'll start with you and then Shalini Kamodia. So you guys have been friends, since dental school? Is that right?
Right. Yep.
Okay, good. So Stephanie, let's start with you. So just a little history so people kind of understand, where'd you grow up? Why'd you want to become a dentist? A little bit of that journey. Was there parents involved or what was the driving force behind that?
Sure. So I grew up in Michigan and my family dentist actually convinced me to become a dentist. He was kind of a crazy motorcycle riding guy and he had long red hair and he was balding on the top and he wore this like ponytail for the rest of it. And he was just like living the dream. He loved his job and he loved making connections with people. And so yeah, Shalini and I met in dental school and we always kind of said, you're the only person I would open a practice with. And so she called me up one day and said, do you want to move to North Carolina and open a practice together?
Okay, wait. You got to go back. So a long-haired, bald, motorcycle
Mountain
driving
biking,
dentist
right.
inspired you to become a dentist.
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Did you want to be like a biker person or what was your, no, I'm just kidding.
No, I guess it was just like the work-life balance.
Okay.
He
So
still
there's
had
just
time on the
something that you
weekends
picked
and-
up that you thought he was enjoying himself.
Exactly. Correct.
Okay, good. And so you go and so you check it out and you just figure out, okay, I can become a dentist.
Yeah, I was pre-med and wasn't super sure about that path. And I liked the connections that he made with his patients and then eventually their kids and their grandkids. And I just loved seeing that dynamic.
And so you went to the University of Michigan. Where did you grow up in Michigan?
I grew up in Rochester Hills, so it's an hour north of Detroit.
Okay, great. All right. So, and so you had this sort of work-life balance thing. Anything else that was driving that? Did you have pressure from your family to become a doctor or?
Yeah, sure. I mean, parent encouragement to become a doctor was also nice.
Yeah.
And
Become something.
yeah,
right?
become something, become a productive member of society, as my dad would say.
Well, that's good. That's good. Okay. So Dr. Kamodia, how about you? So where did you grow up?
I grew up in upstate New York,
Oh,
and
okay.
yes, my dad was a dentist,
Uh,
and I adamantly did not want to be a dentist because he was.
sounds about right.
Yes. Um, my sister's younger than me, and she actually decided to go to dental school before I did.
Didn't
Um,
realize that.
graduated from college, wasn't still sure was I what I was going to do, and I thought I was going to find something else that I would like, but I came back to dentistry.
Wow. Okay. So upstate New York, I know I saw you worked a little bit in his practice, right?
Mhm.
And I know you worked in a client I've had for years. You spent a little time in their practice. Was that the area where you grew up? Were you
That
close
is,
to
yeah.
there?
Yep, the same town.
Okay. Oh, okay, good. So would your father have been like friends with
Yeah,
Bob's dad?
he came to my interview at Bob's house.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay,
It was
good.
very strange.
So wait a minute, take me back through that. So his dad came,
No, no, my
or
dad
your
came.
dad did? Oh,
Yeah, they
okay,
were
fine.
friends. They were friends. And I had worked at a free dentistry event at their practice and then come
Okay.
home that evening and I was like, oh my gosh, their office is so cool. Everyone is fun. It would be awesome to work there. My dad's practice was very small, like could only support one provider at a time. So I was
Yeah.
left by myself and I didn't like it. Um, and so he he must have called Bob and said, "Hey, can my daughter work for you?" And he said, "Okay, bring
Oh,
her to an interview." And
that's
so we
awesome.
went and it
And
was
then he goes.
and then he came to the interview.
He probably wanted to like see what was happening, right?
It was pretty funny. But that was a life-changing experience for me working for them,
That's
working for
really
Bob and
cute.
Mary.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, so okay, so then how does so at this point, okay, so you guys don't know each other coming to school at all?
No, we didn't. We
Okay.
had lunch on our first day of dental school together, just randomly.
And so you go through this process together and certainly that's a bonding process, right?
Yeah,
And so
we
take
moved in
me
together.
in,
We were roommates for 2 years.
I was gonna say, like, take me in the dorm room and like, was there conversation about maybe someday or what was like, when did this start? Like, did you guys have conversation at all about what it would look like
There
when you
was a
got out?
specific lecture that we went to that a dentist in private practice came in and he was talking about the things that you could do in private practice to like create a patient experience and to it was a unique perspective. It was more about running a business and less
Yeah,
about dentistry itself. And we were sitting next to each other, and both of us were like, this is really cool. This is awesome. And that was like the moment that we're like, oh, this is my person.
that's so somebody actually came in and said, you guys can do this and it can be really great. And okay, because not every dentist obviously thinks like that. A lot of them are just so, right, kind of small minded. So that's interesting that that was the lecture that was impactful.
That was the one.
So so that day you hear that, and all of a sudden, and you obviously have a perspective because you know what your dad's practice is like, which you didn't want it to be like, right? In a way, it's kind of interesting. Okay.
I didn't
And
know that at the time in dental school.
yeah, yeah. And so, okay, so kind of walk me through then what happened. So you guys both graduate, you go off, Stephanie, you do a residency, you go work in upstate New York, and then how the heck did you guys end up in North Carolina?
Sure. So, yeah, I was working in private practice and I've never thought about it this way, but it was a scheduling institute office.
Okay.
They've been working with scheduling institute for a while. Someone else bought the practice and they didn't operate the same way.
That
And
happens.
so yeah, I didn't
Like
think about it
instantly,
that way
right?
until
It's
I'm having
like,
this conversation with you. But yeah, I was pretty unhappy there. And it was like the right timing that Shalini called me up and she said, "Hey, I'm ready to do something different. I'm ready to move. My sister was here in Charlotte. And so we came and visited my sister, and we were like, this is a great fit for us. It's a growing area. It makes sense to start a business. And it was, everyone told us not to do it. We moved together and we moved in together and we started a practice together, and we were only each other's friends. And yeah, everyone told us not to do it, and we did it, and it's been
Like a
great.
total like Thelma and Louise situation or whatever, right? Where,
That's right.
but positive, you guys don't drive off a bridge or whatever. So literally you just like load up and no, don't do it, but we're gonna do it. And then so so you got a sister that lives there, so there's a little bit of a base. And to give people a little perspective, you're how far out of Charlotte? You're kind of like in the suburbs of Charlotte, or is it
Yeah,
really a totally
20
different
minutes. Yeah, we're 20 minutes east of
city,
Charlotte.
say? Okay, yeah, yeah. Okay, so all right, let's continue the story here, right? So you're like 12 at this point, right? You just
How old are we?
Thanks.
We were 30.
oh, okay. You
Yeah.
guys look young,
I'll take 12.
right? So yeah,
That's
you're
fine.
so
So we
so
moved
how
out.
how did we find a place? Kind of tell me, like, did you both have did you guys have any money? Did you have a little bit of money? Did you like kind of give me that you're in the car trying to go pick a spot? Did you have a list of what you wanted? Like, was there any real system to it, or did you guys just kind of go on your guts?
We took a course
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
how to do a startup dental practice,
Okay.
and they gave us a checklist, and we pretty much followed it with our own flair.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with demographics and figuring out like what's a good location. We wanted lots of visibility and an area that was growing a lot.
All
We
the
knew we
good
didn't want to
things.
be in the center of Charlotte, so we were looking like in the area that was surrounding it, 15, 20 minutes. Um, and we met up with a real estate agent that just showed us a bunch of places, and none of them were good. We didn't like any of them. And then Stephanie came down a second time, and he had found us a lot that was there was going to be a building that would be built there.
Okay.
So we signed a lease for a space in a building that didn't exist yet because we liked the location.
How long until it was supposed to be done?
I think six months. They were starting construction when you were
Okay.
there.
Wow.
6 months until we could get in to do the build out on the interior.
Okay. So you had some time to think about your vision of what you wanted, I guess.
Yes. And so I think we moved
So
down in January, and then the construction was partially done in January. And the interior, when did they start the interior construction, Stephanie, with Tony? Was it like maybe June?
sure it took longer than you thought.
Of course.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
We planned
Yeah.
to be open in June, and then we opened in November.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
Good lesson for everybody, right? Takes longer than you think.
Yep.
And how much did it cost you more than you thought it was going to cost you when it was all said and done?
I don't
No,
think
our builder was really great
Good.
and stayed on budget.
Good.
So we were lucky there.
Okay. And so you're in a new town. You don't know anybody. You sign a lease. This all sounds really kind of like either like a lot of fun or really spooky. I can't quite figure out.
very spooky.
Okay. So
I thought it
you
was a
were
lot of fun.
I would like wake up in the morning at like 4 a.m. and be like, how many things do I need to accomplish before 9? Before I have to go to work and make money, because I'm not. We were working as associates, and so
okay. That's what I was
Yeah.
wondering. So you
we were
actually
working as associates.
okay.
And so yeah, just trying to do a startup as like a not a full-time job was very difficult.
Wow. Okay. So let's go back. So interestingly, both of you had an experience with offices that we worked with, right? So you kind of knew, but sure, it was a little bit of like, what is this, right? And so, so you're working as associates, the office opens. How does it go? I mean, what happens? Like, did it take off? Was it slow? What help me out? Like, did you guys both quit your jobs at the same time and just start working, or did you stagger in, or what happened?
It actually worked nicely. We each worked 2 days a week as associates and then 3 days a week in our own office. And so I would work, I can't even remember, but it was like
Wow.
Monday, Tuesday in another office. And then Shalini was working there Thursday, Friday. And then we worked together on Wednesdays in our own office. And yeah, it was slow. I mean, we had, you know, 3 or 4 employees when we started.
Yeah.
And so we did our own cleanings and it
Do
it ramped
everything.
up it ramped up very quickly.
And so that practice opened when? Like what year?
November
2019.
1st, 2019.
Okay. So 19, 20. Okay. So talk about kind of give me that anything sort of that first year that shocked you guys, or I mean, it seemed like you were doing a lot, right? That's working 5 days a week. But you didn't, it sounds like you guys really like you didn't, that was what you were there to do, right?
Yeah, and neither of us had families at the time, so it
Yeah.
was
Like you're focused on that,
work
right? Like
hard.
actually making it happen. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun. We grew really quickly, which was amazing. The town that we're in is just exploding. And so most of our problems were from growing too fast, which again is amazing. And
Yeah.
then COVID happened. Everything got shut down like after we were open for 3 months.
Mm, wow. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize that. Makes sense with the timing.
Yep. So that was interesting. That was like the most stressful period of doing nothing ever.
So how did that go? I mean, you're paying a lease, could you work in the offices that you were working in? Did they open back up or did they close?
They were closed, and I think that we might have gone in like 2 days to see emergency patients, but we didn't have that many patients considering we'd only been open for 3 months. So there wasn't a huge base, which turned out to be fortunate for us because we didn't have a backlog of people that were demanding hygiene appointments
Hmm.
or that had emergencies. We didn't have a lot of employees, so we didn't have like
Yeah,
a lot of people to take care of. So it was mostly figuring out where to cut expenses so that we could keep paying our bills to survive however long it took. And then when we opened again, post COVID, is when we really grew because every other practice had capacity problems. They didn't have
mm.
space for all the patients that wanted to come in, and
Yeah,
we had only openings. So we gained a lot of patients because of it, which was fortunate for us.
kind of worked out, I guess, huh?
Yes, it did. It was stressful at the time, but it ended up working out in our favor.
And so talk to me a little bit about how you guys split responsibilities, right? When you think about, partnerships are like marriages, obviously. They're work, right? So how have you guys managed to how has that shaped up? Like was there just a natural division of responsibilities, or are you still kind of still finding your way in that some days?
It's very convenient that Shalini likes doing all of the things that I really hate doing. Today we did an exercise. Literally today we did an
Hmm.
exercise and we had everyone write down what are the things that they are good at and what are the things that they're not good at. And I wrote down troubleshooting. I really hate troubleshooting. And wrote
Good
down
at it.
she wrote down troubleshooting, like
Yeah,
literally not even seeing my answer. And I was like looking, I was like, does that say troubleshooting? Um,
that's
so
pretty
like
One of my
cool.
favorite things to do.
conveniently Shalini enjoys like all of the insurance and um a lot of the like AR and
Sure.
dealing more with people. And so that has been really beneficial for us to figure that out.
Yeah, it's like, so obviously having coached thousands of people, right? It's like there's always this, you guys are kind of always funny to me because like it you guys are very thoughty, you know what I mean? Like I see you guys like thinking about things a lot, like, like studying it, right? Is that
Yeah, that's right.
and then but you go execute, which is so great, right? So you guys are so let's talk a little bit about what's happened. I mean, so you have this delay. How do you get to me? Do you remember?
Yeah, very vividly.
What was it?
We did everything we knew how to do to grow a business from the course that we took before we opened. And then we reached a point where we're like, we don't know what's next.
Mm,
We can keep doing this forever, but there's probably more. And so we interviewed consultants.
mm.
We just went out and we did interviews with like,
Yeah, that
I
sounds
think we
like what you
interviewed like
guys would
6
do.
different
Yeah.
people. And then we finally decided that we had both worked in practices that worked with you before and
Yeah.
we liked them, and we decided to go with it.
Mm.
And
'Cause
also
I
you had
remember it was very, you guys were, I don't remember, it was like a meeting or something you came to and you like, it seems like I think your husband was there and it was like this whole analysis. I remember like, I was like, okay, I don't know what these people are going to do, but it's been fun, to watch you guys and, and see how much you have done, right? So in a pretty short period of time, let's kind of walk through like, you don't have to share like any private numbers or anything, but um, your practice is millions of dollars today, right? Meaning
Yes.
like north of three, something like that, right? So that's a big, how are you guys feeling about that? Like kind of looking at, we're just sitting at, the beginning of 2025 and you really have only been doing it a few years, right?
Yeah, I think that it's not like we didn't expect this rapid growth, and it's something that it's like a whole mindset shift that I personally couldn't have wrapped my head around without working with you.
Mm,
Because to me, like going from $0 a year to 3 point wherever we are
yeah,
is like that sounds like a lot of work. Like it sounds very stressful. It sounds like hiring and firing a lot of people. It sounds really stressful and it isn't anymore.
yeah. That's what I was kind of wondering. Like, if you went back in the dorm room and you were imagining, like even when you went to like open up a practice, was it sort of we're just going to do this together? But were you guys money motivated? Were you motivated to help people? I know that Dr. Kamodia, you've gone down and done mission trips in the DR a couple of times, I think.
That was Dr. Marvelli.
It was okay,
I haven't had a
was
chance to
okay.
go yet, but
Yeah. So
I will go next year.
was that, what was the driving like when you guys were like coming together? Was it we're gonna treat the patients better, we're just gonna be better? Like what was kind of your thoughts on what that would look like?
I mean, yeah, I remember sitting in one of our like very first leadership summits, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
with our person from the scheduling institute, and we were like talking about numbers, and he was like, like make it 5x, and we're like, no, we're good. We are
That's
good.
good.
And he was
I
like,
don't need
okay, well,
anything.
think of something that's exciting to you. And we were like, okay, like we want to have like 1,000 free smiles by like this year. And he was like, no, like think about 5,000. And like we started to like sweat. And he's like, okay,
Yeah.
take the number that you want to be at, and 2030, like times it by 5. And we were like, no, like that sounds terrible. And now here we are. And so yeah, I mean that's what got me excited about it, is thinking
That,
about donating 5,000 free smiles is like just
that's awesome.
it's epic. Like
So
that's
that's one of the goals.
That is the
I
goal.
love that. Is that generosity something that has come recently, or has that always been part of your DNA, you know?
I think it's been a part of our DNA, but it's like we've been able to like put it into action.
Yeah, yeah, which is great. Some people don't figure that out until way later in life, right? So the fact you guys can do that is great. So I have these early recollections of you guys standing like at the desk, you know, like at a workshop or something, and just being a little skeptical. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Like, almost like really wound up tight about it. Like, are you sure, Jay? And we're going to need to have verification that this is possible. You know, we're going to need a certified letter from another person, and they're going to have to be like, you know what I mean? I mean, it's kind of funny. And so I have like one of the comments I want to make about you guys that I think is great is that I've seen you sort of really loosen up about that, which I think is a wonderful thing, but that's sort of right. You seem so that's just been part of that transition, right? That you guys you've done the work. The practice has grown a lot. You've lightened up about some of the hows and right. Is that true, or is there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's been the biggest thing that I've learned and that I still have to keep learning over and over again is that all of my problems are because of me.
That's
And that most of the time I don't actually have to do something different. I just have to think differently.
good for you.
And
It's big.
yeah, but when the next problem arises, I can't tell that to myself. I need someone else to tell it to me.
Yeah. Well, you guys have been very coachable, right? So you guys have you respond well. So it's interesting. So you hear this lecture, and so do you guys think that you are like when you think about maybe some of your classmates or whatever, if you track any of them, um, do you like I was thinking about this interview, like you hear that lecture and you're excited and you have a fuzzy vision of what it's going to be, but you know, what would you say to somebody who's like, what are your thoughts for somebody who's in dental school, right? They're hearing a lot now that they have to go to work for someone else and that they'll never be able to own their own practice. And so what would like your words of wisdom be, you know, based on, I mean, your story sort of tells a little bit, right? You guys were kind of all in, right?
Yeah, I would say if you're passionate about it and you're excited about both the dentistry and the idea that you get to own and manage a business, then it's an awesome career.
If today's episode hit home and you're ready to grow with the right guidance, our next coaching class kicks off July 31st in Atlanta, Georgia. To apply for coaching, call 470-410-3154 or go to mypgi.com/podcast, and one of our team members will reach out to help you see if it's the right fit.
Thanks so much for checking out this episode of the Private Practice Playbook. For clips of this episode, go ahead and check out the YouTube channel. If you enjoyed what you heard today, make sure to subscribe to the podcast at podcastfordoctors.com to unlock subscriber-only bonus episodes. Find our links below in the description.